friends, this is Caitlin. This week I'm coming back with a My Favorite Things card, a really super easy scene card that just has some really fun coloring, and the background scene could not be more simple. So I got this stamp set actually as a perk for making a couple reels for My Favorite Things, which was honestly an absolute dream come true. So I do want to disclaim that I was gifted these stamps, but I was not asked to make a full size like normal video. It was just for reel and TikTok content, which went up with the release last month. I guess earlier this month. But I love this stamp set so much. These images are absolutely adorable. And so I really wanted to make a card and share the whole process with you because my reel, for obvious reasons, had to be chopped down pretty small. So I stamped out all of the main characters. I also stamped out the umbrella and one of the sandcastles. It's just such a cute set. So this is the Grandparents Are the Best, I think is what it's called. I'll have it linked down in the description below, like I always do. But I am starting out with the little grandpa and coloring him in. I definitely made an effort to make the grandma and the grandpa a little bit tanner than the kids, just because, you know, years at the beach maybe have just tanned up their skin a little more. Where the kids would be obviously hopefully slathered in sunscreen. So I think my favorite thing about this little pup-up is that his little belly is sticking out between his shirt and his pants. It's so funny. I just had fun. I gave him and the grandma sunglasses instead of regular glasses. And I used the same color combination for the skin tones on all of them pretty much, except for the kids. I swapped out the darkest shade and added in a extra light shade. But overall, that way they all kind of look like they belong together. I also kind of wanted to make this a double duty card, and so it has a 4th of July kind of holiday summer feel. So I went with a red, white, and blue color scheme for all of my accessories, and I love this blue B90 B90 combination, that's the word, that I picked for the shirt, and I'm going to use again on the umbrella and the little boy's inner tube. I just think it matches really well with the pattern paper we're going to be using, and I think it just has that really true blue feel to it. It's not super bright, it's not super gray. It just, to me, it's like the perfect blue. So to balance that out, I decided to give him some khaki kind of shorts or swim trunks. The other thing I've seen a lot of people do with this stamp set is use either the palm leaves or the flowers to give a pattern to the dress and the shirt on these characters. And I think that is such a fun idea. I have had kind of an interesting couple weeks, kind of getting used to my new job. And so my brain was not up for making my own pattern. But I would definitely say to check out the My Favorite Things Instagram so you can see all of their reels, because I know a couple of their design team members used the other stamps to make a custom pattern, and it turned out amazing. So if you want to see more like that, go check over there. I'll leave that linked in the description below as well. For the card that I made for that reel content that I did, that short form content, I only used the grandma and the little girl, and I made a box card. And I gave the grandma a red dress, and I loved how it turned out so much that I knew I wanted to repeat that concept. I changed up the reds just a little bit. But I think that it's really fun to kind of let her be a little loud with her dress. And I also think it's just really great for that whole color story. And the pattern paper that we're going to be using is also from My Favorite Things. And it has a ton of these blues and beachy kind of patterns. But then it also has a red and white stripe. And that's what really helped push me into that whole 4th of July concept. And I remember going to do like 4th of July things at the beach with my grandparents. So it was like a really fun, nostalgic card to make. So I gave my grandma some fancy curly gray, darker gray hair and gave her some sunglasses as well. And then now I'm going in with those reds to start coloring in her dress. I love this red combination. I think, again, just like the blue, it's just like a really great true red, like classic Hollywood lipstick kind of red. And I love the amount of contrast that you get adding in the darker shades and then that really nice lighter, I think R24 is like my lightest shade that I bring in as a highlight. I just love that combination. And I added the same colors to her hat band. And then to balance out and bring in that kind of khaki color one more time, I decided to give her kind of a straw hat color scheme. So I'm using the same exact E40 family markers from the Grandpa's Shorts on Grandma's hat. And I love, again, that contrast and the shadows that you get from that combination. It's just so cute. So for the little girl, again, I left out the E13 for the little girl and the baby boy and jumped straight to E11. And then I brought in E00 or 000 as my extra light shade just to help them be a little bit lighter. And I decided, because I had the red and the blue already pretty strong, that I would leave her swimsuit white and add my own little pattern just with markers to it. And I love how that turned out. So I'm kind of just following the same shading principles for all of them for the skin tone, keeping my shadows to the outside of the face, and then kind of around anywhere where fabric is overlapping, there would always be more shadow on the skin. To give her a white bathing suit, you have to add some grays, but I left plenty of white space there so that it's still read as white and not a gray bathing suit. I decided to make these little kids a little on the blonde side. So I grabbed a E44 to be a darker kind of ash kind of color, to add in just some of those hair strokes and some extra definition. And then I went in with E50s, super light, to shade in between, and that's what pulls it a little on that warmer side and gives that kind of ashy blonde. So I grabbed one of those blue markers and added some polka dots, and then I'll go in with one of the reds and add more little random dots. The trick with patterning is you want to make sure that some of them kind of continue off the edge of your fabric. And then at the end, we'll bring in some white gel pen to add another centered dot to all of those polka dots. It'll just help break it up and make it look like a more realistic pattern. So I use those same colors again on the baby. He's just so stinking cute. I guess it could also be a girl. Lots of babies have short hair, no matter what gender they are. So just depending on how you colored it up, if someone in the family had a little baby girl, you could definitely make it work. Add a little flower to her hair or something to make it a little more obvious. But again, I use those same colors for the hair. Just kept it pretty simple. Added the same gray shades from the swimsuit to the diaper. And then I grabbed the same blues as Grandpa's shirt and I added it to that little inner tube. And I just think that's so sweet. So now I'm going to add highlights to the eyes, the sunglasses, the center sections of the little girl's swimsuit dots. And I am going to color the umbrella and the sandcastle off screen just because, again, how my schedule worked out this week, I actually filmed this video in a couple different parts. So I'm lining up my coordinating dyes. I kept the shading on the umbrella and the sandcastle pretty simple anyway. I thought having longer, more detailed looks at coloring in the people would be more beneficial for you guys. But let me know your feedback on that if you want to see every single thing, or maybe we do videos where I just really focus on one character and we spend a lot of time and I really slow it down. If anything like that would be helpful to you guys who are learning and want practicing coloring, I would definitely be open to that. So let me know. So this is that amazing pattern paper pack. And I love this because it has the water, it has the sky, it has sand, and it has just regular stripy patterns. So I am going to grab the red and white stripe as my background. I'm going to grab the sand for our sandy beach. And then I was torn between adding water or sky, and I decided to just skip the water. So we're going to go straight into the sky, which is this really pale blue that has little seagulls on it in white. Absolutely love it. And my favorite part is that my favorite things started adding their colors straight onto the back of these pattern paper pads. So if you're like me and you are an ink sucker and you love the little mini ink pads or even big ink pads and you want to be able to coordinate, they used to have these listed just on the website and you had to kind of know how to find it. So the fact that they've added them now to the back of the paper pads so that you have that information right there at your disposal is amazing. So thank you, My Favorite Things. If anybody from there ever sees this, that was a game changer, and 100% please keep doing that. So with that information, I grabbed the coneflower ink and we are going to stamp our sentiment in that. I also used one of the stitched rectangle dies to cut out my sky, and then to cut out just a small 2-inch strip of the sand, so that way my stitching lines up all the way around, so you get kind of this seamless, flawless look, even though it's 2 separate layers. I'm going to pop up my sky panel, the full-size panel, on top of the red with some foam tape. So I just peeled off all of that backing paper. I'm going to stand up so I can see over top and get it nice and straight, which is a little easier with this because of that stripy background. And I'm going to add some, nope, we're not going to add that yet. We're going to stamp our sentiment. And now that I'm thinking about it, this was probably not the best sentiment to pick for this card because there's 2 kids on there and 2 grandparents on there. So whoever you're giving this card to, somebody's going to get mad because I picked the "Shh, don't tell anyone you're my favorite," which I love. And it's just because it's kind of a running joke that I have going with my grandma, that I was born first. So cumulatively, she loves me the most just because she's loved me the longest. So because of the inside joke, I just went for it. But in reality, maybe this would be a better sentiment for a card that, you know, only had the little girl on it. Like if she's the only grandkid, then it would be really cute. Or if you're, you know, giving this and it's just the little kids and like the grandma, and you could give it to your grandma and be like, "You're my favorite." But, you know, it's still cute, and I'm hoping it's just inspiration for you guys anyway. So I started out with just putting my people across the card just to kind of get an idea of my layout. So with them kind of just laying there, I went through and added my background elements, which are going to be that sandcastle and the umbrella first. Then once I have those in place, I'll start layering everything else. Also, with the way that I put my sentiment, because it was a double line, my little pup-up, his head sticks up over the top. I really don't mind. I would honestly just size up the envelope a little bit and call it a day, or something like this is probably something that I would end up hand delivering anyway. So if it's really important to you, again, maybe use a different sentiment so you could put them down just a little bit lower on that card panel, and then you'd be good to go. But I just love with this pattern paper pack how easy and simple the background scene came together. We have the sky at the beach, we have our sand, and we didn't have to do any inking or coloring at all, and they still look absolutely adorable. So I was gonna try to squeeze both kids in between the grandparents, but because of where my umbrella was, I had kind of set the grandma over a little bit and it felt really empty on that right hand side. So while my liquid glue was still wet, I just picked her up and pushed her even a hair further towards the center, and this gave plenty of room for the little boy to go on one side and the little girl to go in the middle. So I gave that another really good press down to make sure everything was adhered down and in place. And that wraps up this card. So I hope that this was really fun. It was so fun to make. I hope everyone has an amazing weekend and holiday week next week if you're celebrating here in the US. Thank you so much for coming to hang out with me. It means the world. I hope you have a great weekend. Happy 4th of July. And until next time, happy crafting.